Welcome back to Dallas Twang. I'm Dave. Thanks to everybody that signed up since the last time we had a lesson. I think we've had two or three new subscribers, supporters, patrons in the last week or so. Um, we're we're doing a little bit of house hunting, and so me and my wife. So we've had to make some weekend trips, just around the region. We're looking in the same area that we are now. And not really putting me behind, but I'm kind of just not pushing myself to try to cram everything in and risk any kind of lesser quality or whatever. So we're really busy. That's why it's a day or two later than I usually post the Patreon video for the week. And when I'm making these videos, I a lot of times I'll start out one way, or the idea usually carries through what the topic's going to be and stuff. But I'll start to write something out, or I'll start to like do an intro with the backing track and stuff, whatever. And every once in a while, it'll occur to me that, like, you know what, the stuff that I'm thinking, and I'm kind of narrating it as I go in my own head, right? I'm thinking, why don't we just kind of get off the production format every once in a while and just kind of go about this, like more conversationally. So I decided to do that today. And I did an intro that I was pretty satisfied with, actually, on YouTube a few days ago using this backing track. So if you haven't seen that one, I'll put a link to it in the description here, along with a long MP3 version of this backing track, so you can take it and keep it and put it in your library or put it in your looper, or do whatever you want with it. Okay, something that doesn't really happen over on the YouTube side. Um, so I've got a slide here of the chords too. I'm just going to put that up, and let's just get warmed up here. Now, if you saw that video a few days ago on YouTube, you're going to be familiar with this right away. You'll recognize the sound of it. But had a bunch of good feedback, and some folks were like, "Hey, I hope you do something on Patreon with this week." So, okay, here you go. Here's the backing track. It's in C major. Okay. Here's the chords. I'm going to put them up, and um, we're going to kind of go through this, but we're going to use a lot of triads today. And I'm going to give you some kind of direction on like how you can go about really using your triads in a nice melodic musical way, like right off the bat, without having to stop and study tons of them or whatever. So let's just warm up with C major scale, C major pentatonic. Just keep it simple. Okay, so let's turn this off for just a second. And like I was saying, not a lot of, demonstration and stuff at the beginning here today. I want you to let's get right into this with you playing and not just watching me play. So, triads, right? We know them, we love them, we use them, we're working on them. Everybody's doing something, related to it, and it's good work. It's important. So, you know, what I like to do is, and I did this in the YouTube video as well, is I like to just map out, kind of not every possible thing, on the neck and all of that. That's great if you're doing that. And if that's the kind of work that you're challenging yourself to do as an individual player right now, then great. This would be actually a nice uh, little tune to do that with. But let's look for just a couple of paths of triads, right? So let's put the slide back up here, and let's say we go And see, everything's either a measure or a half measure, right? So let's say we go, and then to the, okay. Now I said triad. If I'm playing more than 3 notes, they're probably duplicated, right? So if that's that kind of fuller E minor bar chord, it's, there's 2 roots in there. So we could say, to be technical about it, I guess we could do down, triad for C, then E minor, right? Then we could go F, C, G, right? We could go F, C, G, right? It kind of changes the way that you even vocalize it, right? It's like if, just putting the chords in a more of an up and down landscape informs your kind of sense of understanding the melody of it, right? Or what you're kind of do next when you're improvising a melody. So the second half there, it starts on the A minor, the relative minor of C, and it has a different pattern of holding them. 3, 4, C, ba, 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 ba. And just, now put your track on and really get comfortable hanging out. And, when you see a different option, go ahead and take it, right? I'll go one more time around. E minor. There's that one from the A minor. Okay, so for some folks, that's this lesson. That's what this lesson's going to be about for you, right? Is, man, just little compact versions of those triads that have adjacent movement. You can move them around. Don't worry about skipping around. Sometimes that sounds really cool. But you definitely want to be able to see the ones that are next door neighbors. See that one? Back that up and watch it again if you need to, because that was, all of them were within a 4-fret span right there. Every triad in this piece was right there, okay? On the same 3 strings as well, right? So I do a lot of movement horizontally on the same strings, right? And of course we could do, we could go up and... right, use a different string set, right? And like I said, depending on if that's something that you're really focused on, then this would be a great opportunity to just keep going using different groupings and things around, right? But I want to get you into some fun melodic kind of single note stuff too, but using the triads as the framework for it, okay? And here's one of the little games that we're going to play here today, but probably one of 2. The first one is and you can kind of focus on the roots more at first. Doesn't have to be roots though. But whatever string I end up selecting, just my ear, or just kind of just what you get lucky. If you're playing chord tones, you're going to get lucky a lot, right? And I go down, a note or 2 sort of at the end of the measure if it's one that's held for a full measure. This is easier to demonstrate than it is to explain. So check this out. Okay. So what is going on? Is he saying that there's a r- rule here that's strictly being employed over and over? Is this like totally formulaic? Not really, but you could make it that way if you wanted to. Um, the main thing I'm doing is that when I'm I hit a note in the measure of the chord, and it gives me kind of a you know a chance to sort of see to kind of you know a little bit of a space to make the next decision in. But the decision I made every time for that measure was after landing on a triad was to just separate the notes, usually in a downward direction. So right. If I do it in a downward direction every time, then of course that becomes very notable, right? Noticeable to the ear, and it's kind of, it's too repetitive. So watch when I start to, kind of make some of them go up and down, but I'm really just doing them in order. Once I'm able to kind of see in my mind's eye where the surrounding extensions of that shape are, I can just kind of go down. I like to fall down from the note I'm on by using a triad, like a couple of chord tones. I just like that. It keeps the listening ear moving, and it sounds like a little more, I don't know, composed than it really is, right? Let me do a little bit more of that. Okay, now I did quite a bit of moving around there, and I did some even down on some lower strings where you might not be as kind of handy with that. Like, well, wait, if I get to, I went down to that uh, you know um, A minor and went, you know. So just extending sort of an arpeggio, right? They're all chord tones, but man, doesn't that start to, really become sort of a reliable function of how to create melody when you're not really stressing on like, oh man, I got to do a lick right here, and then I got to do a lick over this chord, right? And what the second kind of feature of this lesson is, the connective stuff, right? The use of the scale and the bending and the phrasing that's more of like a pentatonic or blues type of phrasing, right? And so when you put that in there, then this movement that we're getting from this triad business becomes an element and not sort of just the thing that's happening all the time, right? And so again, the demonstration will be simpler than probably what I'm, preaching here. So check this out. Okay, I tried to stay kind of right around in that zone, and that's what you want to do, and you know, we're gonna let that, be the example. You could tell I was thinking about things. It wasn't, all like kind of in the free zone, right? But that's because, I was demonstrating the thing that we had just discussed, the game plan. And that's what's going on with us when we practice, right? When we're adding new skills. We're intellectualizing it, right? We're doing both things. We're making creative choices in real time. Um, and we're also monitoring and like, okay, this is what I'm practicing. I'm going for those triads and I'm mixing that pentatonic scale in there, and but the more that you relax your body and that you settle into that process, the magic starts to happen, right? You start to kind of drift off into that daydream or whatever, right? The sunlight comes in through the window, and all of a sudden you're staring out in the yard, and then you realize that you're playing it, right? And that that's what we're that's what my guitar life is about, right? That experience, like where it's you're out of your head, and it's happening, right? And so, but there's stages to that. So wherever you are each day, some days are better than others. Don't judge it. Just keep relaxing, repeat it, but let your body really, let go, right? And you will find that this repetition of these methods, your fingers will start, the notes will start falling right under your hand. And so this is a diatonic progression, meaning that all the chords are right out of that neat key of C major. It's a good place to hang out to try to and cultivate those kinds of experiences, those real time um, um, experiences of it kind of happening for you. And we're going to do some other videos on some more of the embellishments. And, like a lot of times when I'm hanging out in that scale, there was a video, I don't know the number of it, few weeks ago, where I really did a lot of those in C and kind of around that shape. And that's really important stuff too, because it allows you to relax again even more, right? When you're not like, oh, because a lot of that, it's not just over the C chord. A lot of that stuff using that pentatonic scale right there and those kinds of embellishments and those bluesy kinds of phrasings will traverse this whole tune in really nice ways. Okay. So I hope there was enough demonstration there. But man, this is about you getting in there wherever you are with these skills and really, you know, having the confidence and the support that comes from having a game plan like this with the triads, mixing in the scale, and so forth. Um, and but trusting that you're going to be able to create the outcome of it, right? This isn't a lick for lick method that we're doing today. Sometimes we do that on here. This is a way to get you into a workspace where you are having an authentic experience of creating it for yourself. Let me know how it goes. Appreciate all of you. See you next week.